Ah,
Hey everybody, welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday. This is a show where we handle any issues, challenges, topics you might be having. How's it going?
good. How you doing?
Man, I'm good.
Good.
I'm
How you
great.
doing?
I'm I'm wonderful.
Good.
All of the above. You guys look good tonight. I appreciate all you guys being here. Yep, this is a show. Like I said, this is the show where we talk about any issues or challenges you might be having. You can feel free to post them in the chat. You can send us an email, dww@bss.studio. You can also post them on our website at bss.studio. You can also go to the store at bss.studio and get one of these cool plushy guys. He's pretty sweet.
Let me bring mine out.
We
Let's
don't
detect it on.
currently. Oh my gosh, we currently don't have a promotion going on, which is really really weird. We're gonna need to do that for like Black Friday or something.
Yeah, there you go. The world needs an event where we can put on a promotion for our goods, right?
Yeah, yeah. That pear kid. I did not hear about anything about why you missed last week's streams, but we certainly missed you. Um, but yeah, it's great to see you again. But yeah, so feel free. You can post in the chat. You can direct message us on Discord. There's all kinds of ways to get in touch with us. If you'd like to remain anonymous, the best way to do that would be either through Discord or through the email dww@bss.studio. We are not professional therapists, counselors, or policemen. We just want to be your friend and we want to help in any way we possibly can to just offer some love and encouragement and maybe a little bit of perspective to help through whatever is going on.
That's right.
Because I know when I was going through all kinds of challenges and I was in therapy and seeing a psychiatrist and everything like that, one of the most important things that was there for me were people that would listen without judging me. They were just friends to me, and I could feel confident that, they weren't going to stop liking me for who I was. That was just such an important thing to have. So we hope that we
Yeah.
can we can provide that for you guys tonight. We do have some topics, but first of all, I gotta give a shout out to Princess. She is our chat room hostess. She keeps us on track. She's amazing and wonderful and beautiful and all things great. Um,
She's everything that is great,
Everything that
all
is great,
wrapped up into one thing.
Princess, absolutely. And yeah, I'm your host Joe, and the star. I also go by Sedivinal. You see my name in the
Sedivanal, is that
corner.
how we're saying it
That's
now?
that's what it is.
Okay,
Sedivinal. You thought it was CDVNL.
I did. I
You
was
did.
misinformed by
Yeah.
my own
S-
face.
Sedivinal. Yes. And up there we have Stay Tyke P.
State. No,
Stay
no.
Tyke.
Yeah, there you go.
That's the one.
Yeah, a lot of times people pronounce the P with an E at the end, but there's no E at the end and there's
There's
no
no.
I.
It's
It's just,
just a. P. It's a good thing I have a popper stopper thing. I'd be like,
yeah.
there'd be some kind of weird like,
Yeah, it sounds like this.
yeah, that it'd be
And no one likes
awful.
that.
No, man, that's for
Jeez.
sure. So, yeah, but welcome everyone again. And yep, Static. He is the star of the show tonight.
Kind of.
Yeah, you're the
You guys
bright.
are the real
You're
stars
the bright shining
out there.
star. That's true. That's true. All of you guys in the chat, all of you guys that submit topics, you guys are really the stars of the show.
Yeah.
Because without you guys' topics, we wouldn't really have anything to talk about. I mean, we could come up with something to talk about, but boy,
Oh yeah, you know we could.
that it'd be it'd be something. It might not be. It wouldn't be nearly as good. I don't think
Right.
it'd be something.
It would be entertaining to us and us alone. No. Yeah. Probably won't be that great.
Yes.
Um, but yeah.
So anyway, so yeah, so you're doing good tonight, huh, Ryan?
Oh, definitely. Definitely doing good.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
You look
yeah.
good.
And it's Wednesday, which is fantastic because that's the day where we do this show. And that's
Mm-hmm.
one of the best things that we do every week is this show. Always happy to be here. It's always a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me feel good. And I hope it makes you guys feel good as well.
Mm-hmm.
I learned, by the way, I think that you guys think that we're all smart and stuff, but we're not. A lot of times, like up here, not up, we're sitting. So we're here and we're trying to like advise you on stuff or like, yeah, I've been through situations like that before and I've never really thought about this question before. So let's make it up on the spot and think about it. And then we teach ourselves stuff. And sometimes I learn a lot from Joe too. So it's kind of like one of those things where um, you help us figure ourselves out by asking questions about yourself because people are people. We have the same emotions, a lot of us. We have the same reasons and logic. Our personalities may differ, but wisdom is wisdom. Reality is reality. Truth is truth. And I think that that's a wonderful thing because we get to share our experiences with each other and we all grow, including myself and Joe from the experience. So it just always feels great.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it does. So, yep. So, thanks for being here. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. Get out of here.
It's gonna be good. So we've got a few that I know we can do right off the bat. A few of these topics. But I'm gonna go down the list of our past topics. And if you hear your name, then just let us know you're here somehow. You can put something in the chat and whatever.
Yeah.
It'll be good. I recommend the dab emoji, but that's just because I really like it.
Because it's also involves saliva coming out from your mouth into your sleeve.
Yes. Which way is proper? I don't know.
Is there a proper dab or are they all improper?
They are all actually, you know what? Dabbing is so cool. I'm going to bring it back. It was
Okay.
That's so 2019.
Was that 2019 or 2018? I can't.
Might have been 18. I don't know. I just remember a bunch of people in my kids' martial arts class doing it. Like they would dab
That's
all
funny.
the time.
That's great.
Like they'd be like, okay, do the combo, of the kick and the punch and all the different stuff, right? And then at
And then
the
they end
end,
with a
and then throw in something at the end, throw in a specialty move, whatever you want to do. It could be a ninja roll, it could be a B twist, it could be, whatever you want to do. And like almost everybody. Whoosh.
That's great.
It's like,
That's so great.
and then that gave way to the floss.
Oh no. That's great.
Yep. So it was the dab, and then it was the floss, and then all the other ones. The truth that needs to be cool again is the floss. Oh man, I don't have enough camera space. I don't have enough room here to do the floss. I could do
Probably
floss.
for the better. Yeah.
And I'm in my chair too. Like it's weird. And if I stood up, it would be tough. It'd be weird. Fine then, Ryan floss. There you go.
I can't floss. I've got shielding over my lower half of my body, and it's called a blanket. And so a blanket would actually prevent the floss action, as nothing can necessarily flow between a space which is not a space. You're welcome.
You can still do it, Ryan.
No, that's my excuse. I'm doing it. I'm not doing it. That was my excuse. I've got a blanket on. I can't.
Well, there's all kinds of Fortnite dances. There's the floss. There's the make it rain. There's the one thing with the thing and the I don't know. I don't know their names except for the floss. But anyway, all right. So we're already off track. Princess is telling us in our conference call chat. She's like, hello. So yes, let us get started. So here's the list of people. And if you hear your name once again, let us know you're here. We have Royal, also known as Saigo, Sevlev, SK, Awkward Pika, Kaneki, Anonymous. If you're here, you don't have to say you're here. Jesse, Khan Volkan, Sparrow, Amira, and Becca Breakerer. We got Sparrow is
Sparrow.
here. Sparrow's
Sparrow's
gone.
here.
Box is here.
Oh.
And also Anonymous said we should do that anyway. Even if whether they're here or not. So that's always one we can do. Although, yeah, so Sparrow, are you really leaving? Who made Static? Who made the box thing in Traced?
What? Who made the box thing in Traced?
Because I don't know, I ran out of time. I had to go somewhere.
Also, hey Static, it's me who. Oh, it's me who made the box thing in Traced. Because I don't know, I ran out of time. Did you change your name?
It's
James. Okay, did you message me on Discord? Or is this the person that we had last time who was talking about tracing stuff? That would have been... Shoot. I don't know. Great. I don't know. That's what I'm asking. I don't know. If you don't know, I don't know. That's what my mom always says. I'm sorry. Welcome, James.
Yep, well, that's how Ryan came up with the box. He just was running out of time.
Yeah, I was running out of time. Well, kind of. I didn't want to... It took me so long to make that picture, and I was like, I don't want to draw another two bodies. Wait a minute, let's put them in a big box. And that saved me a bunch of time.
Yes, it did. But it looks amazing.
Sorry, Pear.
Yes, we'll see you next time we see you, Pear. Great having you. But all right, well, Sparrow is here, and we should do that, eh?
Okay, they're staying. Good. Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Sparrow. So this is called Annoying Family. Oh, we should also do Anonymous, Princess of Sin. Maybe, so, okay. Sparrow, you're staying. Maybe we should do Anonymous first, because that one's been here for like a month.
Okay.
So let's do that one. Let's do Anonymous, and then we'll do yours next, Sparrow. And then we will move on to Becca Breakerer. And because we're getting really good at this, we should be able to do all three.
Let's hopefully we can.
What do you think?
I think we can do it.
So watch this. See, Princess posted a link.
Boom.
Did you see that? And so what I did, I'm going to click on her link and post a link off of that link. Yeah.
Joe always gets my links.
Huh?
But you all should pick Joe's link.
No, well, I just I clicked your link in the chat, and then I copied and pasted where that brought me. So yeah, that's good. I copied and pasted your link, Princess.
Yeah, I said you always get my links. So no, you always get them, but everyone else should always go with your link, not mine.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, that's okay. You can pick either one. Princess's is probably better.
There is no difference. Hopes in mind of being able to get to several topics, I'm going to start.
Okay.
So I had a panic attack again, and I realized something because of it. I got worse fighting against them because I kind of blocked myself from my emotions. Because I don't want to be a burden to anyone, I tried to fight my emotions by myself mostly. But all I did was building up a stronger mask to hide my emotions even from myself. I still got overwhelmed, and I'm still trembling deep inside of me right now. But I can't even try to reason with myself somehow, because I don't know why I feel like that currently. One part of my mind is doing the thinking while the other is breaking, and I don't know how to connect them again. I want to cry, but I don't know what I'm crying about. I shiver, but I don't know what makes me feel cold. My body trembles in emotion, and I don't know why I'm feeling anything at all. I'm simply trying to understand why I feel bad, while my body and subconscious are screaming for help. From Anonymous.
Mm. Yes, I can definitely relate to this issue. I when I was I was probably 18 or 19 years old. I was going through a really stressful time. Had a nervous breakdown my freshman year in college, and ended up having panic attacks a lot. So I totally understand how that feels so overwhelming, and it's like you're not even yourself. It's like you're, like you were talking about, like your title is separation of self, because you're so far within your mind that you don't have control of your body anymore. It's weird. But so I definitely understand where you're coming from, and this is a super hard thing to deal with. So first of all, thank you for the topic, and second of all, I'm so sorry that you're dealing with this, because this is really tough. So I'm going to turn it over to Ryan and listen to what he has to say. So Ryan, take it away.
Sure. Yeah, this is a tough thing. I'm gonna start kind of where you started here. You said, you had a panic attack, and you got worse at fighting them because you blocked yourself from emotion. And you said the reason you did that is because you didn't want to be a burden to anyone. You try to fight your emotions mostly by yourself, and what you're doing is you're building up a stronger mask to hide yourself from others. I have to say that I can relate to this, but I can relate to this, and I would commend you for trying hard to do this. It's not easy to try to solve everything by yourself, and in fact, it's unwise at some points. It's one of those things where you have to be real with yourself sometimes. If you look at something and you go, okay, I can solve this by myself, or B, I can maybe solve this by myself, but I would do a lot better if I had someone to help me, or C, I can't solve this by myself, right? Those are your three possibilities, right? If it's A, then yeah, take it by yourself, but be confident in yourself, and don't get worked up, that kind of thing, if you can, right? But the thing is, you don't ever worry about being a burden to people, because here's the thing. Have you ever had anyone come up to you and ask for your advice? Have you ever had anyone come up to you and say, hey, I'm struggling with something, or hey, what do you think about this? What's your opinion on this? Those type of questions. They make you feel important, don't they? They make you feel loved. They make you feel like your opinion matters, right? If someone comes up to you and shares their problems with you, and you get to help them, there's a good feeling that results from that both of you receive, right? So if you are saying, I don't want to be a burden, one of the things that you're doing is you're taking away someone else's chance to feel that happiness that comes from helping you with your problem. If you've ever helped anybody with a problem before and felt good because of it, that's a normal thing, and a lot of people experience that. I think everyone does. And so don't worry about being a burden. Maybe think about that a different way and say, I'm going to give this person right here, they're my friend, they understand me, or maybe they don't, but I'm going to give them a chance to benefit from my sorrow, right? That's a beautiful thing. If I have a problem, I can go to Joe and say, hey, Joe, I'm struggling with this. What do you think? And he's going to feel good because I offered up my problem to him. He's going to feel good because he recognizes that I trust him, that I recognize that he's smart, and maybe he knows something that I don't, to help me. So I ended up, I can take my struggles and share them with others. And while I'm still the one that has to bear them and still the one that has to take the action, basically it's a win-win scenario, because now I'm filled with more information. I'm filled with more conviction and strength to carry out that action, whatever it might be, because now I've confided in a friend and they're rooting me on and they've shared their wisdom with me, right? It's like a win-win scenario. Everybody wins in that. So don't worry about being a burden. Now there are, of course, times where people are burdens, right? And we need to be tactful and understanding of ourselves and our own positions and those things.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to something where you're struggling, um, don't be afraid to reach out to a friend, um, because a lot of times they'll be willing to help and they are honored to help. Now, sometimes um, you can push that too far, right? You've probably experienced this before where someone just unloads their problems to you day after day after day after day, and it gets kind of monotonous and they don't seem to be changing anything at all, right? And that's fine. The whole point of that is just don't be that person. Be the person that listens carefully and tries to take action to solve your problems based on what your friends are offering you. As long as you're doing that, you're never going to become the burden that you might worry of becoming. And I also understand, like, most of the time when I have problems, I try to solve them by myself, and I get through most things that way without any problems. So it's not wrong to do that. You don't have to share your problems if they don't need to be shared, right? Some things are personal, some things are better left unsaid because it's like, well, I don't want to put this on their mind and have them worry about me, right? But the thing is, if it comes to a situation where you're like, you're struggling and you've been struggling for a while and you haven't seen much improvement in the area, then it's time to reach out to others. If you get to the point where you have to put on a mask for people and you have to pretend to be happy for people, and that lasts for more than a couple of days, if it lasts even a day, at some point you have to realize, okay, I can't just keep on, keeping this facade up, right? It's not doing me good, right? I've tried it and I haven't had success in solving my problems with this method. So let's try a different method, right? So then you can go on to asking others for help. And I think that's kind of how I operate it. Everyone else operates in different ways. Some people are quicker to ask for others than some. That was a weird sentence, but you get what I'm saying. But anyways, my whole point of that was just say, don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid of being a burden, because most of the time you're not a burden. You're actually, your darkness is shining light into somebody else's world, as strange as that sounds. Because your suffering is a sacrifice that you get to make to enlighten and create better things in the world. I mean, we have so much technology that wouldn't exist if there weren't struggles before them.
Mm-hmm.
We have so many beautiful things, right? We have people who are doing good things because bad things exist. If you didn't have, for example, this is not necessarily an evil thing, but it might be. If you didn't have animals going extinct, you wouldn't have animal protection services. And it's not just humans that make animals go extinct, though we have in the past. Most of the time, animals go extinct because of other animals, not humans. Or they go extinct because their environment changes over the course of time, naturally. So you have people out there who are taking those animals and helping them survive. It's a beautiful thing. But it wouldn't exist if those animals weren't in any harm. So they wouldn't be doing something spectacular outside themselves, beautiful and good, if there wasn't first a reason to do so. So you can be that reason for other people to feel happy and bright, even if you're the one that's struggling. And I think that's a beautiful thing, right? Because that's what you want to give people. That's why you're putting on that face, because you want other people to be happy and not worried about you. And you don't want them to feel bad, right? And so you're putting on this face, this mask, right? Instead, why don't you just bear it upon them and then allow them to bring light into your scenario and then bring light to themselves, right? I think that's a way better way of going about it. To be honest is just the best way usually. Just be like, hey, is something wrong? Because they notice. And just being honestly, just always makes things work a lot better than saying, no, I'm fine, and kind of lying about it. Anyways, you know what? At this point, I'm going to hand it over to Joe. I'm sure he's got a lot to talk about, so that, and he can give it back to me when he's done. But yeah, I want to kind of break here because I just talked about the kind of opening part for a while, and I feel like Joe's going to be a lot better at covering this next section anyways. So I'm looking forward to see what he has to say.
Well, I appreciate your confidence, Ryan. I'm not exactly sure if I'll be better than you or not. I don't even know how you would rate that.
Better?
Yeah, if it's rated on
More helpful.
looks, yours is better for sure.
More helpful, man. That's it.
Well, okay. I'll look at these things basically from the point of relating to this issue, because having been through it myself years ago, I can kind of remember what it was like, and so I can totally I can totally relate to where you're at, and I also want to do whatever I can to help you get out of this trend that you have going on in your life, because I know how painful it is. I know how much of a struggle it is, and I know how much better it is to be through it and out of it. And so there's some things you can do. I can tell you this, one of the key ingredients to getting out. Now, I had said at the beginning of the show, I'd been through a time where I was in therapy, and one of the important things I had were people around me that cared about me, that would listen and help and not judge and stuff like that, right? And I was at an age where I always felt judged by my parents. Maybe we never fully outgrow that, but because our parents are there to raise us, and so we always kind of feel like they're watching us, and they're checking out on us to see if we're making sure we're doing things right, and all that kind of stuff. And so there always was this little hint of judgment. But one of the things that they did, that they encouraged me to do, that was so powerful, was they were like, this is on your time frame, but it might help you if you got some kind of a job and started making some money and stuff like that, right? Because I was lost. I didn't know what I was going to do. And so it was funny. I ended up getting this job at a hotel as a bellboy.
Nice.
Now what that meant at this particular hotel was I was like the guy who did all the stuff nobody else wanted to do, and I was also the shuttle bus driver.
Oh.
So I drove, mostly it was airline pilots and flight attendants to and from the airport, because they would certain airlines had a contract with our hotel, and they would always stay there, and then I would get them to the airport in time for their flight, and pick up people when they would land and bring them to the hotel and do all that kind of stuff, right? So I was shuttling people back and forth to the airport a lot as well. And one of the requirements of this job was that I had to be there at 5 o'clock in the morning. Which, when you have suffered a nervous breakdown and all you want to do is like sleep, but now you go get a job that you have to be up at 3:30 in the morning so you can leave by 4:30 in the morning so you can be there at 5, so then you can take the pilots and flight attendants to the airport so they can be in time for their flight. That now there's a responsibility involved, right? So now that can be overwhelming at times. But here's the point. The point is that it caused me to take action. And action is such a curing agent to so many of these things. When we get caught in our mind and we're so wrapped up into our thoughts, one of the most important things we can do is take action. Mel Robbins, she's the author of the 5-second rule. Now, this isn't the 5-second rule where you drop some food on the floor and you got 5 seconds to pick it up and it's still good. That's actually more like the 10-second rule, I think.
I thought it was the garbage rule. Oh, it's on the floor. Throw it in the garbage.
What? No, man, that's still good.
It's
5-second rule. You can eat it. You just got to look at it first and make sure there's nothing on it. If it's more
then
than
blow it
5
off.
seconds, you can blow it off, or maybe in some cases you got to rinse it. You know,
if you can't rinse a potato chip.
sure you can.
Yeah,
it
you
en-
can.
It ends up soggy in your mouth anyway.
Yeah. Could you? Ugh. Putting a wet potato chip in your mouth.
Yes. But here's the point. Her 5-second rule, Mel Robbins' 5-second rule, is basically, she thought of something she was going to do, or that she needed to do, and she realized that within 5 seconds, her mind would talk her out of doing it.
Mm.
And so instead of, she was like, okay, so I have to figure out a way to get myself to move within 5 seconds. And so she just counts down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then blast off or whatever, right? So and that's what she does. So she counts down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and when she gets to 1, she starts moving in that direction. She takes some kind of an action. Now, it doesn't have to be the full task. It could be just the precursor to the task, right? It could be, I'm going to take 1 step forward, and I'm going to start with that. I'm going to sit up in my bed. I'm going to start there. And but now you're starting to build momentum in that direction. And so, but that is an amazing thing. And when you take action a lot, here's one of the things I've noticed. The more I take action toward some kind of a goal that I have, the less time my mind has to grapple with me. And it'll do it, man. It'll shut me right down. My mind will trap me, and I'll sit there and just be thinking. And I noticed this. I have a morning routine, and I still struggle with this because I think my morning routine could take me maybe 20 minutes, if I'm really going through it and really actually looking to make it happen. I think a week ago, my morning routine took me 3 hours.
It's a lot longer than 20 minutes.
Yeah. Because most of it was me just sitting there thinking. And my mind just trapped me. And I was sitting still and I was just thinking. And there were a lot of things to think about, yes. But I knew I had to get to work. I had to get going on stuff. I had a lot of things to do that day, and my morning routine took me 3 hours. I'm like, I got to figure out some adjustments here. So the point is, if you can start to take some kind of an action toward a goal, toward a purpose, you think of something that you might like to do, and then count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then take 1 step toward that. Just 1. And that 1 step generally turns into 2 steps, turns into 3 steps. Eventually you hit an obstacle, and that might slow you down a little bit or stop you even. And so then you might have to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 yourself again to get back up and start moving toward around the obstacle or through the obstacle or whatever. But those things can be so helpful just to take some action. Another thing I want to help you understand is a lot of times when we're feeling uneasy about a certain situation, it's because we're resisting it. So stress and panic attacks and all that kind of stuff, they escalate because of what they are. So we think, oh my gosh, I feel tense, like my body feels weird or my mind isn't right. And so then we start to kind of beat ourselves up a little bit because of that. And then that spirals us down another level. And this whole time we're resisting it. we're trying to fight against it, and all that's happening is we're going down and down and down and down and down, right? And when we resist what's happening around us, we get stressed about it. When we resist it in our minds. If we can come to grips with that, this is how life is right now, and I'm not talking about the panic attack. I mean, you can lean into it. You can lean, oh, I'm just having this panic attack. Okay, I recognize it for what it is. And what happens is you stop resisting it. And you're like, okay, this is happening to me right now. It's the weirdest thing because it starts to dissolve almost immediately. Because now I'm no longer thinking to myself, oh no, this is the wrong thing. This is wrong. I need to fix this. And then because I'm resisting it, it gets worse. And then I'm like, I don't know how to fix it, but I got to try. And then it continues to get worse. But if I'm just like, oh, I'm just having a reaction right now. And from there, when you accept, okay, this is happening to me right now. Okay. I've been here before. And then you can relax about it. And when you relax, it dissolves. It's the weirdest thing. But that technique comes from a guy named Hal Elrod. He had a 5-minute rule where he would give himself 5 minutes to complain about a situation. Like if something in his life happened that he didn't like or was bad or whatever, he would say, okay, I've got 5 minutes. I set a timer for 5 minutes and I can curse about it. I can be mad. I can be upset. I can kick the trash can. I can do whatever it is that I can do to be mad. I can throw a fit for 5 minutes. And once that 5 minutes is over, I say, well, I can't change it. And I accept that that's part of my life right now. And when you accept those things, you accept your life the way it is, you accept reality the way it is, your stress level goes down. You start to see things in a way where it's like, oh my gosh, even though life is full of good and bad and all that kind of stuff, I can still make it through. It's going to be okay. And you end up having this outlook of a relaxed and calm and accepting demeanor. And then you can really be yourself again. Because now you're not fighting against everything so much. You're not resisting so much. And all that stress goes away. And then you can get down to doing the things you need to be doing. So anyway, those are just a few tips. So it says, what is with people in using 5 units of time? Who has the 5 fortnight rule? Yep, you're right. They did that. The 5-second rules, multiple 5 seconds, and then the 5-minute rule, and yeah, it's amazing. But anyway, those are some things you can try to help calm and smooth out those panic attacks. But I would definitely encourage, above all things, take some kind of an action. And what happens then is you will break that chain that your mind has around you, because now you're moving, and that does so much to help. So anyway, I'm turning it back to Ryan. Ryan?
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Joe. I'm glad I let you go first. I think you had a lot of awesome things to say. I really like the idea of kind of leaning into it and just saying, I'm having an anxiety attack, right? And then just going, yep, that's what it is. I think that one thing that makes easygoing people easygoing is their ability to accept that things don't have to be perfect. Things don't have to be okay. I think that that's a talent it tends to be a talent of people who are reserved. You have 2 main distinguishers between personalities. There's a lot of distinguishers, but ones I'm referring to right now, there's two sectors, I suppose you could say. You have people who are outgoing, and you have people who are reserved, or people who are extroverts and introverts, as other people say. So extroverts or outgoing people, how they feel inside tends to be a reflection of how they see things outside. So if whatever is going on outside um, of their body, outside of their mind, right? If they stub their toe, if a lamp falls over, right? Things like that. Things that are going outside of them happen. When those things happen, it affects them inside. And then you have introverts who how they feel inside is usually determined by how they're I guess kind of how they're experiencing themselves inside. They don't have to care so much about what's going on around them. Those things don't influence them. But it's a lot harder to get these people out of a funk because you have to change what's going on inside their head in order to change how they feel. So it's kind of interesting. If someone is down and out and they're extroverted, if they're outgoing, you can kind of help them out by being a positive influence in their outside life, showing them positive things around them. You can take them aside and observe the nature and say, wow, look how beautiful this is. And they'll start to feel better inside. You do that to someone who is introverted and be like, wow, look how beautiful this is. They're going to be like, yeah, you understand I'm struggling in here, right? What are you talking? Like, that has nothing to do with me. That's a tree. That's how we experience things very differently, right? So one of the benefits, the natural benefits. Now, here's the thing. We can learn as human beings to become more like the other personalities, to take the benefits of other personalities, right? To take those blessings and try to work them into ourselves, right? So there are plenty of great things about being outgoing, and there's plenty of great things about being introverted or reserved. And we can learn from each other and adapt those things into ourselves a little bit over time. But one of the blessings of being an introvert or to be reserved is that it's a lot, these people tend to be a lot more easygoing. When something around them is not going well, they can be like, yeah, it's all cool. It doesn't need to go well. That's just how it is. So whatever, like everything's still in here is still fine. There's no issue. It's like, whatever, you know? And then, yeah. So the problem is though, when those people get into a funk, it can be very hard to get them out of it because it's all in here. And they have to then get that out of themselves. Like Joe was talking about when he's able to talk to somebody about his issues and not feel judged, right? If we can get that out of ourselves, then we can start to accept the outside and have it come in. And it sounds strange, but I think that might be the problem that you're experiencing. You know, when you put a mask on, you don't let anybody in. You also don't let anything out. So what you've done is you've trapped all of the negativity, all of that perhaps self-hate or just I don't know, whatever it is that's eating you up inside. You know, you've trapped it all in, so it has no escape. And you need to be able to get it out of your system. There are many ways to do that, but most of them involve activity. Most of them involve, as someone in the chat was saying, you know, pursuing a passion. It might be drawing something. It might be writing a song. It might be writing a story. It might just be talking to a friend. You know, but it's a lot of times that comes out of you by action, by doing something outside of yourself. When we tend to get into those funks, a lot of times we start to overthink things, like Joe was saying. We think about things over and over and over. We get into these loops and it's just all downhill, right? So at that point, once you recognize that's happening to you, the best thing you can do is go, okay, well, let's do something. And it's interesting because that's opposite of what we've experienced before. Many times as introverts or, you know, reserved people, we experience the world in a different way. We experience it mostly in our heads and how we determine, you know, we solve so many things in our heads. Like, okay, this is a problem. Hold on. Let me think about this for a second. Okay, I got it. So this is how you solve that problem, right? That's how we do it. Um, how we solve a math problem, we do it fully in our heads a lot of times. Like if you like my brother, myself, probably Joe as well, you give us a math problem, we're not going to usually go for a piece of paper and write it out. We're going to think about it and be like, okay, this is how I would solve it in my head, and then just do it in our heads, right? Not because we're impressive, but because our brains are wired to solve things in our heads. And so to have a problem in our head that we can't solve because we're causing it in our own heads upon ourselves, it becomes counterintuitive to try to solve it in our heads. It becomes opposite of how we've solved everything before. What we need to do is take a break from our minds, and that's weird because usually I would never say that, but we need to take a break so that it allows our minds to stop causing problems for itself. And so we need to take action in the outside world and then have that feed back into our minds. The wisdom that's naturally out there, the beauty that's naturally out there, right? We need to consume beauty. We need to consume that which is good in our lives, right? We take in food and nutrition, and these things are good, and that supplies our body with energy. But our mind needs that as well. If we stay trapped inside of our minds and don't allow anything that's beautiful to come in, a lot of times when we get into that phase, we don't want anything. We're like, oh, that's a good thing. Like, I just don't want it. I don't want anything. I just want to sit here and lay in my bed and just suffer. Because until I figure out what's wrong with me, and nothing ever comes because we're not allowing any source of good, any source of nutrition to come into our minds because we've just trapped it out from everything. So basically all of that was to say, just kind of do exactly what Joe was talking about. Take action. Take in the beauty of the world. Try to be a little bit weird. You are yourself, right? And the thing that you're experiencing right now is yourself. And it's tough because it's something in your mind, and it's just a struggle, right? Sometimes you need to get out of yourself. Sometimes you need to do something that you wouldn't normally do to change something inside of you, right? Because if you don't do anything new, you're not going to change anything, right? That's obvious, right? So if you've been thinking for a while and you can't solve the problem, then that means you need to change. You need to change how you think. You need to change how you solve problems. And so the best way to do that is to change how you are acting, change how you are thinking. And the best way to do that is to just go out into the world and start doing things you don't normally do. Do things that aren't like yourself and experience those things. A lot of times we are capable of being incredible people, but we pass up on the opportunities. There are many times where it's like, I could be a better person, but I simply always choose not to because it's easier, because it's what other people expect from us. They don't expect us to do certain things, and we don't want to look weird in front of others doing those things, right? I mean, that's how I lived my life for a long time, worried about how other people thought of me. It's like, if I did that, people would look at me weird. I don't want to do that, even though that thing is a good thing, So I would recommend see what you can change about yourself so that you can change how you feel about yourself. But yeah, Joe, did you have anything else you want to add on to that?
No, I think what you said there is great, and so I guess to sum it up, man, one of the most important things is some kind of action. It gets you outside of your head. Oh, there was one thing, I think you and I were talking about this the other day, Ryan, and that is that you'll notice that in in cultures that are like third world cultures where basically their whole thing is survival and finding a way to survive in the world, right? They got to find food, they got to find shelter, they got to do all that stuff, and none of that's provided. They got to go make it. Those cultures, they don't struggle with depression and panic attacks and stuff like that because their whole day is taken up with action to
Right.
survive. Right? We here in this culture here where everything's provided for us. I mean, we can go to the store and buy a whole bunch of cans of food that we didn't have to grow. You know, we can go buy cuts of meat that we didn't have to raise and feed the animals and butcher the animals and do all that kind of stuff. I mean, we just go and get it. And we live in this society where so much is provided for us that we have time to think without action. So that's why one of the greatest things we can get a big clue from that and thinking, okay, so these people that don't have they're basically all about how do I survive? They don't struggle with depression because they're always taking action. They have to, or else they don't survive. We will survive just fine if we don't take action. In a lot of cases. So it's easy for us to get trapped by our own minds and to get trapped by our own desires and to get trapped by our own passions. And, you know, like these things, while it's good to have a passion to run after, there are also times when it can go too far and it becomes more of a lust. And then it can trap us. So we've got this. Our battle is not the exterior battle for survival. Our battle is inside our minds. And so that's why the guy who did the 5-minute rule, Hal Elrod, he talks about the importance of exercise. That's a form of action. Your body is doing something. And like what Ryan was talking about, I love the twist that Ryan put on there where it's like, do something that you wouldn't normally do. Because that breaks you free of routine and it breaks you free of habit. And so now it doesn't feel natural or normal and you're doing something completely new or different. And that shakes things up enough. Like you find, I don't even have time to think about all the things that would trap me before. Because I'm too busy getting into this new activity. And I think that's spectacular because, that takes taking action to a whole new level where it's like, okay, do something that you normally wouldn't do. Now you're going to learn something and you might be confused and you might be scared and you might have, there might be all this kind of excitement going on, But I tell you, you can get through this. As someone who has been through many, many panic attacks and found a way out, you can also. This doesn't have to be a permanent trap. And if you have any other thoughts or anything like that, feel free to message us or Princess or send us an email or whatever. And we can unpack this further, but hopefully we've given you some good stuff to start with at least, and to start your journey to feeling better about all this. And I really, really appreciate the topic. So thank you very much, Anonymous. And we hope to hear from you again. So anyway, we should move on, shall we?
Yeah, we should. That way we can get another, hopefully 2 into this session.
Yes, I agree. So let's see. Next up we had Sparrow.
It is Sparrow. Sparrow, are you still with us? I hope so. I know that he said he would stay, but it doesn't necessarily mean he'll be here indefinitely.
Yes. I mean, there was the comment, Sparrow is here, Sparrow is gone, and I'm like, okay, does that mean Sparrow is here and gone? Hey, I don't know. I'll be back. Oh, and then he returns by crashing a place. Yes.
Righteous.
Nice, Saula. Yeah, I'm thinking Sparrow might have stepped away. So
yep, I'm happy to say so.
So, all right. So, Baka Breaker, are you still here? Joe do
Um,
floss to bring him back. No, no,
Yeah, I don't know if
not gonna
doing the
floss.
floss is a summoning ritual or if. Oh, sweet, Bucklebreaker is here.
Yes, now I don't have to floss. I wasn't
Good.
gonna floss anyway. Ryan, good. Wait a
Good.
minute. Not just because you don't want me to do it. Maybe I'll do it anyway.
Darn it, you figured out my trick.
All right. So yes, so we will do yours, the unnecessary stress, by Baka Breaker.
All right.
Yeah. So Princess has posted the link, and
Thanks, Princess.
that link is good enough. You can just click on that one.
Oh, that one is good enough for us, huh?
That one's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at it right here. I'm looking at it right now.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's a good link.
Yes,
I'm glad you
definitely.
think so.
It's a mighty fine link right there.
So, Princess, whenever you're ready, watch this.
What's the title of this one?
I just did
Unnecessary
the link
stress.
anyway.
Awesome.
I try to be the funny, uplifting person with my friends, and I am. In the moment, I feel good, and I make them feel good. That's good, right? But when I come home, there's always this feeling I could have done more. This feeling always degrades my joy after school, and it makes me feel bad, like I should have done more. I'm worried that this feeling is causing me unnecessary stress. From Baka Breaker.
Yes, also known as Box. I love that your avatar is Box. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, Fox is fantastic.
And you even, I think you even wrote it in the proper angle.
Yeah, that's right.
For the longest time when I was writing Box on all the boxes I was shipping out, I was writing it the wrong way.
Whoops.
It's got to go down like that. B-O-X, not B-O-X. Anyway.
Right.
So yeah, this is an important one because we always look back on what we've done in a certain day, and it's a good thing to do. It's a good thing to examine ourselves and to examine our consciences and to examine the things that we've done or maybe didn't do, because it can help us to improve for sure. But the moment it becomes like here where you're no longer about what you did and stuff like that, now we're starting to tread into something that can definitely cause more stress and all that kind of stuff. And you're right, it is an unnecessary stress, because really we only can do as much as we do with the knowledge we have at the time that we're doing it, if that makes sense. Was that too much weirdness?
That was so weird, Joe.
But it's interesting because when we act in the moment, we do the best we can, right, in the moment, and then we can always look back on that moment and be like, oh, I could have done more, I could have done better, I could have done more, all that kind of stuff. And you're right, I think we always could have done more. So then the key is, okay, be okay with what you've done, to help out and be a positive influence and all that kind of stuff. But then you can use this time to examine yourself. And now I'm taking the topic away from Ryan. I'm sorry, Ryan.
No, you're good, man. Thanks.
I just wanted to give you some time to think. And I also wanted
appreciate
to
it.
say all the things you wanted to say before you said it. So
Nah, you're good.
with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ryan.
Yeah, so basically what you're going to do is you're going to use that time to think about... No, I just kidding. No, so honestly, it is an interesting thing. One thing that's important to recognize is that pleasure is fleeting. You have two things. You have pleasure and you have happiness, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it should be understood that they are different things. Both are a form of joy, right? When you enjoy something, right? They have the form of joy, both pleasure and happiness. But pleasure only lasts as long as the activity producing it, or the thing which produces it, right? Maybe you buy something, and the act of buying something can feel pleasurable. It can feel great to have bought something, right? And then maybe you spend like 2 minutes with it, and then all of a sudden you get this sinking feeling in your stomach. Like, what did I just waste my money on? I feel like the pleasure's gone already. Now what? Do I just, am I supposed to play with it more so that I reap more out of it? Or is this all I'll get? You know? Sometimes that's kind of how, oftentimes that's how pleasure is. It's this joy that comes, but it is fleeting. It comes for the moment and then it's gone. Happiness, on the other hand, happiness is a joy that lasts beyond the activity which produces it. For example, a classic example, when you exercise, right? When you exercise, exercising doesn't necessarily feel fun. It doesn't always make you feel great or joyful or pleasured by any means.
In the moment, it's usually painful.
Right. In the moment, it's usually painful. But at the end of the day, when you've done it, you feel good, right? You feel good about yourself. You have a joy that overcomes you, and it lasts beyond the activity. Oftentimes, it supersedes the activity. It comes after, right? Now, when you're telling jokes and things like this, right? That sensation is good. It is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a pleasurable thing, and this pleasure is a good pleasure, right? It's fun. It brings joy to others. But that joy is the type of joy that doesn't last. So when you go away from that, when you go home and you think to yourself, wait, where's that fun that I was just experiencing? Where did it go? How come I feel this way? How come I feel empty now? Didn't I just have a really good time? And it's exactly like when you buy something at a store that maybe you didn't need, you know? Now, bringing light and joy into other people's lives is a very good thing, but there are many ways to do that. And some of them are a fleeting joy, and some of them are a lasting joy. The lasting joy isn't necessarily always as impactful at the moment. What I mean is, when we have like a spurt of laughter, right? That's like a compressed joy that just goes, ooh, and it's like it punches you right in the face, right? And then it just explodes.
I love when
like, boom.
Joy punches me in the face.
Yeah, joy punch. It's a joy punch.
It's a joy punch.
And it just goes poof, and it's over with. It's like an explosion of joy. And then you have other kinds of joy, which are those which last inside of us. When we have a good feeling that carries on through the rest of the day, right? Those things tend to not be so impactful. They aren't things that make us burst out in laughter. They aren't things that make us, I guess, feel any particular way at the moment. If anything, if any kind of feeling is coming from it, it's usually either a sense of sacrifice or a form of service or even enlightenment, just feeling like, oh, I learned something really valuable, or that really changed my perspective on something. It's usually more intimate, if you will. As powerful as laughter and stuff is, those aren't necessarily intimate in this way. It's not something that's like it becomes part of you and who you are. And I think that those things are very valuable, right? So I would say there's nothing bad at all with you having that, you're the one that makes them feel good, right? You're the happy-go-lucky person in your group. I think that's a beautiful and important thing to be. And you probably don't realize what you're doing for others when you do that. Sometimes people just need that in their life. There are a lot of people who need to have fun in their life or in their day, or else they feel like they had a bad day. And so it's good that you can be fun. It's good that you can be the person that's bringing that sense of joy to others. And so I encourage you to recognize that, that is very important. And hopefully um, that brings about a sense of satisfaction of yourself, right? Because then that can actually last. That satisfaction can continue that joy after you're back home from school. Um, if you feel that joy, if you feel that lacking of joy, also recognize that, hey, it could just be myself coming down from that, emotional high, if you will.
Mm.
You experience a bunch of joy all at once for a long period of time, and you get home and all of a sudden it's all gone. Just understand, like, that's natural. It isn't a bad thing. It's just natural. Besides, your brain does need time to recoup. When you laugh and when you experience these types of joy, when you experience pleasures, your brain releases chemicals. Those chemicals are then used up. Your brain does need time to recreate those chemicals for itself. It's done so through food and etc. But you need to make sure that life isn't all pleasure, right? Because what ends up happening is your brain sensors get diminished over time, more and more and more. If you live in life full of entertainment, any moment which isn't entertaining feels like pure boredom and maybe even depression. That's because your brain is, one, starving for things outside of joy, outside of entertainment and pleasure. Your brain is starving for those things. 2, you've eaten up all of the chemicals for joy, and you're starting to notice even the things that are supposed to be entertainment are no longer entertaining, really. 3, you start to notice, what have I been doing with myself? This whole time I've been doing nothing. I've been putting all my time into things that only last for a moment, when nothing I've been doing has been lasting for, beyond myself or beyond a moment that I'm doing it. There's a lot of issues with current and modern society, and that we put so much time into entertainment. And it's been going on since, like, the TV was created. But we can actually study brains. And people have studied the brain after it's experienced endless amounts of entertainment for a year, versus one who has received no entertainment over a year, and versus someone who's received moderate amounts, right? And they've studied these brains and their patterns, and it's really, really creepy to look at the brains that are over entertained. They look like they've been, I don't know how to say it in a way that isn't so freaky. You can look up the images on your own. All right. It's weird. But the nourishment in the brain is like, it's got pockets of holes everywhere missing from it. Because it's been drained of its ability to enjoy. And so I say all of that not to scare you, but to make you recognize that the moments which you don't feel joy are even more important than the moments where you do feel it. In a society we live in today, those moments where you're not feeling that sensation of joy, those moments where you feel like there's something missing, are really important. And they're super vital to your health, to the healthiness of your brain, to keeping self-control, to creating new impactful ideas for society, for creating good financial future, for being creative in any way. Those moments where it feels like there's lacking are oftentimes the foundation upon which we build success. So don't be afraid of those moments when you come home from school and maybe you feel like, maybe you feel a little bit empty. Appreciate that silence, appreciate that emptiness, because that is where your brain will start to come up with new ideas for how to advance civilization and things like that. So yeah, just don't be afraid of those moments. You can be thankful for them. As shallow and strange and empty as they feel, they are actually beautiful and dense and hold so much capacity that we cannot fill them. It's like when you're looking into a void, you feel empty, but you realize, wow, there's so much space in there. I could fit anything in there. And that's kind of how you kind of have to look at it, if you will. That said, I'm going to move it over on to Joe and see what he's got to say about this particular topic.
Dang, I got to follow that up.
No.
That was awesome, Ryan. Wow. Thank you very much for that. And you're right. Ryan is so right. Those moments of sadness, or those moments of, the downtime, the we go through peaks and valleys, of emotion, and of success and failure, and all things. I mean, we cycle through these, and the valleys are just as valuable, if not more, than the peaks. And it's interesting because the dangerous places are the plateaus. We would like for our lives, really, honestly, if I'm going to be totally truthful, there is a little bit of me that thinks it would be great to just have everything be good for my whole life, and just be like, okay, everything's good, and just be on that plateau of good. And I'd never really get to great, but then I'd also not go down to crummy, right? But I think Marshmallow said it in the chat that that he writes stories that are sad or dark, and listens to sad music and stuff like that, because without that low, we never really would understand the greatness of the high, right? Without the valley, the peak wouldn't be so majestic. And without the peak, the valley wouldn't feel so crummy. It would just feel like normal. But life is built in with these peaks and valleys of everything. And so, yeah, you go and you're at school and you're with your friends and you're having a good time, and you're probably, if it's this group of friends where you try to be funny and uplifting and everything, and that's great, but it probably you feed off of their energy as well. And so there's like this give and take of positive energy that's going on. You say something funny, they laugh, that's feedback, and or maybe you guys laugh together, and that's camaraderie too. But then you get home and you're by yourself, and now there's not that energy to feed off of anymore. So you've gone from a peak and you've gone down into a valley. And I love what Ryan was talking about. Those valleys are valuable, valuable moments. They don't feel great like on the peak. But it's where we learn. I think it's, there was a kids movie, Meet the Robinsons, I think. Where they were like, from failure, we learn. From success, not so much. And that's literally true. I've learned way more from messing things up than from getting things right. And it's funny, like, I just thought of this. I tell my kids, I've had them programmed for years, and they still, like, if I say, what's dad good at? They're going to respond the same way they've responded years ago, and that's, dad's good at messing things up. That's right. And at the time, like, it was funny because I used it as a way to kind of, when I would mess things up, it'd be like, well, okay, I messed it up. Are you surprised? No. Okay, let's not be surprised here. This isn't a shocking moment. Dad messed it up. Big deal, right? So, uh, but the other thing that I wanted to impart to them was that it's okay to mess things up. Just try not to mess things up the same thing over and over and over again. Move on to other mistakes, right?
Yeah, move on to other mistakes.
Like
Precisely.
Like if you find you've made a mistake, like, okay, fine. Try to learn and not make the same mistake again if you can help it, right? Now, we're human. We fall into habits. We fall all kinds of stuff. We make the same mistakes over and over again all the time, right? Like, I go to confession and I find myself telling the priest the same things over and over again, right? Like, it's hilarious because we're creatures of habit, and there's all kinds of stuff. But so anyway, when I mess things up, I feel like if I'm good at messing things up, I must be a really educated person. Because if I learn more by messing things up than by having success, and I mess more things up than I succeed, well, I've gotten a really, really great education throughout my life. Huh. How about that? I'm a well-learned individual. Maybe I am qualified to be on this show after all.
Nice.
That was one of the questions we answered when we did some kind of an interview about this show. At some point, we might release it. But one of the questions was, what makes you qualified to do a show like this? I mean, we're not professionals. We're not professional therapists or anything like that. And I remember thinking about that and answering, I think what qualifies me to do this is because I've made a lot of mistakes. And so I've seen a lot of things that don't work, and then I've had to fix them. And so then I've figured out what did work after figuring out what didn't work, and, going through all kinds of nonsense. And, because I make a lot of mistakes, I have those moments of education. And I love the way you put that, Ryan, because yes, in those moments of sadness, in those moments of downtime, that's where we create beautiful things. We create solutions to problems in the world. And was it this topic or was it the previous one where you were talking about, if there were no endangered species, we wouldn't have, groups that protect endangered species, right?
I don't know. It's probably the last one. But no.
Okay.
But I think it could have been this one. I don't know.
That statement goes well here too, because when we're in those down moments where we're reflecting on what we could have done more or better,
it was the last one.
Okay, cool. But at any rate, when we're reflecting on that, that's where we can come up with answers. We think, okay, how do I do that better next time? And we can make adjustments, and we can think about these things and think differently. One thing that I have found to be so helpful in this is journaling. Is keeping a journal. I write in my journal every day, every morning, and it's just reflections on what I'm thinking, of stuff that I thought the day before, of stuff that I've went through, and just thoughts. I pour them out on paper, right? And there have been some recent struggles in my family that have come to light, and I've learned, and I remember writing this in my journal, that I personally cannot afford to not be at my best at any given moment. And so I ask myself throughout the day, am I at my best? And more times than not, the answer is no. And so then I get to fix myself and be like, okay, well, what's it going to take me to be at my best in this moment? And so then I can kind of straighten myself up and get, okay, now I'm at my best right now. And then I think to myself, well, actually, I could be doing this better too. And so it turns into this kind of never-ending quest, right?
Nice.
And then I get a joy punch.
Joy punch. That's right.
It's a joy punch. But at any rate, yeah, I just love what you were saying about that, Ryan, because I think that is so true. And one of the things, when you're in a valley, remember the last time you were on a peak, and remember how you got there. And that can make the valley not only less painful, but more useful, if that makes sense. More productive. That downtime can be productive if you can remember, okay, how did I get back up? And then how can I do more of that? And then when you're on the peak, always remember what comes after the peak. Another valley, right? So when you're at the peak, you can enjoy that time. And then also remember that it's temporary and make preparations for the next valley. So anyway, Ryan, I cut you off there.
I just wanted to say something about that analogy. You have your peaks and your valleys, but what do you have between the peaks and the valleys?
Rivers.
The incline and the decline.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
Right? And so when you're going on that decline, that's the moment where you're going to be going the fastest.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be the moment where you're going to want to try to stop because you're like, I'm going too fast. It's going to be the moment when you're afraid. It's going to be the moment of like, oh, geez, I'm going to run into something. I'm going to get to the bottom of that valley and then break my head open or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the other end of that, if instead of fear, you have that sense of like, holy crap, this is a roller coaster. Let's see how fast we can go. You just run. This is when you're going to be going the fastest. This is when you're going down from a plateau into, the bad, So take it and run with it. Experience the speed you can go. Mm-hmm. And just that way, when you get to your valley, you've got the momentum to help you get back up that incline that's going to take you a while to get back up, because that's the hard part. That's the hard part. So before you have the hard part comes the fear. The fear is like, oh no, I see what's coming, or oh no, I just realized that I'm about to hit a valley, or geez, I just hit a valley. Wait, you don't even know. You think you're in a valley and you haven't experienced it yet. You're still running towards it. Mm-hmm. And then you hit bottom, right? Now, when you hit bottom, don't stop running, because it's action. It's that activity. It's the hard work that will carry you back up that hill. So you have that sensation of fear, and then after it comes that sensation of dread over what you have to do now. Oh, geez, how do I solve this? How do I climb this hill? And so the faster you can run when you're on that fear or that thrill, the better, because
you'll get momentum to go back up.
Momentum, right? Yeah, it'll give you momentum to carry through into action, which is what's going to help you recover from the valley. So I just wanted to play into that analogy. But anyways,
there are some recurring themes in this show and in these topics, leaning into it, leaning into what we think is going to be hard and negative, just get, lean in.
That's my point too. Exactly. It's like when you feel that pain, feel it good. I'm not a masochist, but my point is like, suffering is a beautiful thing if we can only understand that and pursue it in that moment when it's like, okay, it's going to be here. All right, let's just dig into it. We'll find ourselves coming out of the valley a lot faster.
I always pictured letting it wash over me, like just whenever I'm feeling a stressful moment or a painful moment or something like that, where my emotions are all discombobulated and stuff like that. I like to think in terms of I'm going to just allow it to just cover me and envelop me completely. Where I'm like, I'm going to experience the total. I'm going to experience all of it. I'm going to let it just engulf me. And those moments have been really, really powerful when I remember to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
So much time we thought we resist it. We're like, oh no, like you're talking about, we're afraid to go down, and so we're trying to stop ourselves, and we're like, oh no. But if we would just allow it, because we know
Mhm.
it's going to happen anyway. We're going to have
Yeah.
pain. We're going to have hardship. We're going to have struggle. We're going to have suffering. We're going to have all these things. We're going to have glorious times too. We're going to have joy. We're going to have joy punches. We're going to have, I love that.
We're gonna have a joy punch.
You're going to get a joy punch.
Hey guys, you want to get together and have a joy punch? Snag each other out. Yeah. All right.
Yep, you're gonna have all that, and it's part of what makes life so rich, and it's also a big contributor to our growth as individuals. So Baka, this doesn't surprise me that you go through these times, and you know what? I'm glad you experience both. Because it just leads to a richer life, you know. And I'm not necessarily talking about rich as in monetary wealth. I'm talking about rich in experience, rich in you know, just everything that matters, the metaphysical and the physical. You know, we just it's like chocolate cake, you know.
Rich chocolate cake.
Mm-hmm.
When
Like
you
the
take one
chocolate
bite and you're
cake.
like, well, you take one bite and you're like, wow, I'm satisfied. I don't even want to take another bite.
Mm-hmm.
I'll come back to that later.
But then I'm gonna.
And you can keep on eating it
Mm-hmm.
all day long.
Did you ever have that chocolate cake that like it falls apart and it's crummy and it's dry and it kind of like dries your mouth out when you chew on it, and the frosting is all like hard and it's just like
Yeah, and it tastes a little bit weird too, doesn't it?
it does, yeah.
It has this
it's
weird.
kinda-
Yeah.
It is. It's weird. But then you get the chocolate cake that's actually like moist and it's got chocolate syrup in it and stuff, and the frosting's all whipped up on top of it and amazing.
It's like cream cheese frosting, so it's the best kind of
Oh
frosting.
yeah. Beautiful.
It's like fudge at the same time as it's like a brownie, as at the same time as it is a cake. And it's like, what is this masterpiece?
That's the kind of life you get, the rich kind, like that. Like
Yeah, the rich
that
kind.
chocolate cake, not the dried up cracker cake.
the way that just the expression and the sounds coming in your mouth so perfectly describes that cake. I have a deep appreciation for your ability to create such words with only facial expressions and tongue clicks.
Yes, that's it. So anyway, that's about all I have. Did you have anything else, Ryan?
No, but I am willing to move on to the next one since I think we got about another half an hour left.
Yep, that's perfect. We got time for one more. And so let's see, who do we have here?
So there's a chance we have Amira among us. Amira, are you still here with us? I know you stopped by for a moment at least. Oh, yep. There's Amira.
Okay. Excellent. And so we'll probably, since that one came in last week, we'll start with that one. And then Claire, we'd love to have you come back next week, and we will we'd be happy to talk about your topic. I can tell you this, just to sum up the answer to your question about thoughts on transgender, love.
There you go.
In one word, love, and we can expound on that next week. But Amira's is here, and let's see. Click the link. Princess posted a link. I clicked the link, and then I post the link.
You're so hilarious, dude. Oh my gosh.
Boom. I just gotta feel like I contribute, you know, like.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Claire. I appreciate that.
Yeah. No, I think that's a perfect summation too. Obviously, we'll talk more about that next time, but yeah, we'd be happy to have you back and see you again.
Yep,
for
I'm
that.
not even trying to beat Princess anymore.
But
You're
don't
right.
leave yet. Obviously, we still got another topic you'd like to stay.
I I used to always try to beat Princess, but
Yeah.
yeah,
But now you just copy
now
hers
it's just
after she
like
does it and post it. They're hilarious, man. You don't even
yeah,
try anymore. You
yeah,
just,
it's like
but you still try enough to have it on there.
yep. So anyway, all right. Well, Princess, if you'd like to read the topic, we would love to hear you.
Hi, I'm stressed out and I don't know how to relax. Help! From Amira.
Brilliant.
That is a great question and very very concise.
Mm-hmm.
Stressed out and don't know how to relax. That is man, there are a lot of ways. And sometimes we get carried away. I know I've been carried away by stress many times, and then I get into a funk, and then I'm like all angry, and then I'm like stomping around and, slamming my hand on the stuff and being a little bit more rough with things and just kind of whatever, like the cake. But anyway, I don't know if you told us all the details either. But yeah, I'm gonna turn it over to Ryan. I'd love to hear how he handles stress because I know he always seems like he's just like, hey man, it's all good.
It's all good.
It's all good.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
if I could live like that more, I'd be excited about that. I think, except I'd be excited in a relaxed way.
Yeah.
So I'd
Excitement
be
is like,
hey man, I'm excited. Yeah.
yeah. You should see when I'm really excited. It looks like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like freaking out inside. No, okay. Anyways.
It's so, you know what, Ryan, I have to say, it is nice to see your face.
Thanks. You too.
Because,
It is nice.
we actually got together the other day. We had to get together so he could sign some stuff and we got to wear masks, And
So you saw
it's like,
half of my face.
so I saw his face with the cover over the, the bottom half. So it's nice to see you smile and everything. So
Yeah. Yeah. Same to you, man. So Amira, you can feel free to share whatever you'd like in the chat with us as we begin to go over your topic. But yeah, how do you relax from stress? Here's some interesting things I'll start out with. One, what are you eating? What are you drinking? And what are you breathing? I only bring that one up because some people smoke.
oh yeah. What are you breathing? Water?
Water. Is that good? That's right? Eat oxygen, breathe water, drink. Wait, hold on. What is it? Yes, drink sunlight. No. Okay, so first off, make sure that you're trying to stay away from things that hold your brain up. And what I mean is this. Caffeinated substances, right? What it ends up doing is it puts a blockade in your brain that keeps you from relaxing. Because the chemicals which allow you to relax, to calm down, that chemical which makes you feel tired, right? That it actually puts the caffeine is not a chemical that does something to your brain. It's a chemical that stops something from happening to your brain. So it actually puts a stopper on allowing you to feel relaxed. So if you're consuming things that have caffeine or similar substances, now I'm not a nutritionist, a dietitian, or a psychiatrist, so you might want to look into what that could be by yourself, but make sure you kind of stay away from those kinds of drinks and foods and such, because that could do a lot. Just that. Especially for someone who is highly receptive to the world around them, impacting how they feel inside. That is super important to make sure that you've got the right chemicals going on in your brain and not something that's holding it up or stopping it up. So he said, okay, I have a boyfriend now and I'm scared I'm going to mess it up. Oh, okay. Yeah, you did tell us a little bit about this. I'm stuck living with my parents because I can't find a job and I still hate my body. Okay. So hating your body, I can understand that. I was there for a very long time. I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like, sometimes I don't like the way I smell. That's why I shower. You know, there's a lot of things that we don't like about our bodies. The fact is that we're stuck with them. And so one thing that I remember always thinking about, one thing I thought about once and then really liked and chose to continue thinking this way is this. If I can't change what I hate, then I have to change what I hate. Because here's the thing. You have what you hate, and you can either A, you can change what you hate, or B, you can change what you hate. It sounds the same, but you're
but
either
it's totally
A,
different mentality.
yeah, but you're either A, looking at something and you're changing it, or you're changing the way you think about it so that you don't have to hate it anymore. Right? In some cases, we might go, I don't like this about my body. And we go, what can I do to fix that? In some things, we can do something. For example, we can put more muscle on our body. We can take some fat off, right? We can manipulate our body through exercise and nutrition. And sometimes it's like, oh, I have a thyroid problem. It's like, how do I solve this? It's a chemical imbalance. Okay, you go to the doctors and they're going to prescribe you with some things that might help you with your natural but unnatural problem. A problem that you didn't cause, but can hopefully be caused by modern technology, right? And then you have other things where it's like, I don't like my facial features. I don't like the way that I am designed, you know, one way or another. If I can't change it, then it's not good for me to get held up emotionally about it because it doesn't do me good, right? It only holds me back. I notice that when I'm worried about what I look like, how I act to other people is less sincere. It's more closed off. I don't look people in the eye. I hold back in conversations. I mostly just avoid people and contact altogether. However, if instead I like myself, I notice I'm a lot more able to commit to conversations, look people in the eye, and just really get interested in them. I'm no longer so worried about myself that I can't hold a conversation. Instead, I end up interested in what they have to say because I'm not even thinking about what my body looks like. And I can really get into them and go, oh, wow, that's really cool, you know, listening to their stories and stuff. So if I don't like my body, here's what I've learned. If I don't like my body, but I choose to just go out into public anyways and be like, you know what? This is what I look like today. Oh, well, I've got zits on my face. Oh, well, I hate it. But I'm going to act like this person matters. And soon enough, I find myself getting carried away in the conversation and forgetting that I didn't like what I looked like that day. And what's more is I think oftentimes we can see people on the internet who go on camera with all sorts of features that we might not like. And we go, how can they do that? How can they be so fearless when I'm scared to even show my face? I'm afraid to walk out of my house, right? It's like, what's up with that? Those people are inspirational to us in a way. And we should try to be more like them. If someone looks good because of the way they act and not necessarily because of the way they look. And in fact, you can see, what's her name? She was on America's Got Talent. No, Britain's Got Talent. And she was a singer. And they immediately were like, yeah, she doesn't look very good. And Simon just completely wrote her off and said, yeah, Susan Boyle. Thank you. Yeah, Susan Boyle, prime example, right? There's nothing unattractive about Susan Boyle. But as a person who is in her adult life, as a person who doesn't have herself fit, you know, we look at this person and say, that isn't that isn't necessarily attractive. Right? The way that we in modern society look at people and go, that's attractive, that's not attractive, right? So we look at that and we say, okay, that's not attractive, right? But the truth is, it didn't matter. She could sing. And the fact of the matter is, because people were writing her off immediately, they were judging the book by the cover, and they said, okay, it's unattractive, therefore her voice is going to be unattractive. She doesn't know what she's doing. You can tell by her personality, she has no reason to be up here. She has no ability to sing. She's just up here and she's confused. And then she starts to sing and you're like, oh, I was wrong. And here's what's interesting about that. She isn't necessarily a better singer than a lot of other people. But because we looked down on her and then she sang with great beauty, it amplified the effect of her singing. It made us go, wow, I was really wrong. And it makes us question ourselves. It makes us emotionally attracted, as opposed to, wow, that's a beautiful sound. It's, wow, that was a beautiful situation that just happened. And I think that that's beautiful, right? So my point is this. Beauty is in the world, and it's not all physical. It is an emotional thing. True beauty creates emotions that well up inside of us. Amir, let me ask you this. Do you think your boyfriend has emotions for you? I can tell you that he does. And that is true beauty. So don't worry about your looks. If he didn't like you enough, he wouldn't have dated you to begin with. Beauty is that which lifts us up. Beauty is that which gets a rise out of our emotions, right? He told you that he loves you. Yes, absolutely. So don't distrust that. Just because you don't trust yourself or you don't think you're beautiful, don't distrust his words. Believe in them and be thankful for them. And know that that is what beauty is right there, those words, right? He must see something inside of you to lift him up to say those words, right? To feel those emotions, right? So don't doubt yourself. Now, if you don't like the way you look, maybe start acting as though you do and find out that you feel better about yourself when you're not so worried about the way you look. And then your view of yourself starts to change and you go, you know what? I don't look so bad. That's how it happened for me anyways. I used to very much dislike the way I looked. And then I just started, my brother always said, he doesn't care. He's like, I don't care about my looks, and I'm like, that's true for him. For me, I didn't have that luxury. For some reason, I did care, right? But and I tried to learn to not care so much. And I think I did. For a time, I was like, yeah, I just don't care anymore. But at the same time, beauty is important in the eyes of God. All things that are beautiful point to God's glory, that he could make them. And when we look at something and we don't recognize the beauty in it, it doesn't mean it isn't beautiful. It just means we haven't understood it yet, right? If someone tells a joke that's beyond your head, it doesn't mean the joke is bad. It just means that you didn't understand it. It doesn't mean that the joke doesn't make sense. It's just that you couldn't make sense of it, right? And it's the same thing for beauty. Sometimes it's hard to understand the beauty, especially when it's within ourselves, because we experience ourselves on a daily basis. And we've grown accustomed to what we are, and we don't necessarily find it any part unique or beautiful. But if you look at other people around you and you notice things that are beautiful about them, what's to say they don't notice beautiful things about you, right? So keep that in mind. And I hope you can come to love yourself more in that regard. Now, obviously, that was a side thing, and I'm sorry for getting so distracted by it. How do you relax when you're stressed out? This one thing that I do is reaffirm myself. Understand, like, go over everything, kind of. And one thing, Joe gives this example. It's like, what's the worst that can happen?
Mm.
And then if you think about that and you prepare yourself for that, and everything is uphill from there, you're like, okay, so if I've already figured out what the worst thing that happens and I prepared myself for it, then it's a lot easier to relax because now you know you've got the hard stuff out of the way. You know, for myself, I take a slightly different approach, and that is I look at it and go, okay, what does this mean? You know, what is the logic? And then I just try to reaffirm myself. And it's like, you know what? If that happens, I can get through it, whatever it is. You know, I've gotten through harder times before,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm still alive today. But the thing is, we can find ways to make sure that those things don't happen. We can change the way we phrase things. We can take certain actions, right? We can be better people, or maybe distance ourselves from something, or whatever it is, right? But thinking about it and coming to a solution helps a lot. But that doesn't always make you feel more relaxed. So if you want to feel relaxed, there's a couple of suggestions I have for you. One, it's going to sound ridiculous. Do a somersault.
Just one?
Why? Just do a somersault.
Can I
You
do
are in a
two?
situation, huh?
Can
You
I
can
do
do two.
two?
Yeah, you can do two.
All right.
If you can do two. Okay. The reason I say that, it sounds so bizarre, right? This is an example. You don't have to do a somersault, but it's an example of something you can do. When you're stressed out, your mind is freaking out about something, right? And it cannot find a solution. It hasn't found a solution. It's looping, you're just stressed. You've got a lot on your plate, and you feel like you can't handle it. If you do a somersault, it's like, what did that somersault have to do with my problem? Nothing. And that's precisely what you need. In order to relax, you need to try to take your brain off of that which you can't solve anyways. So if you do a somersault, you're going to be like, that felt weird. I haven't done one of those in ages. Wow. And for that moment when you're doing the somersault, you recognize my brain let go and I relaxed for that second. And it's weird. So try to do things that can take your mind off the subject. Now, that isn't good if you're running away from things, right? People develop drinking problems and things like that for this reason. Obviously, there's a difference between relaxing and running away. And you have to make sure you understand which is which. But if you are having a hard time relaxing, there's a couple of things that help. One, try to get away from it if you feel like that's the best step. Two, recognize that it's going to be okay. How do you figure out if it's going to be okay or not? You get the things that are important right. And that's all you can do. What are the things that are important? Well, it might change for different people. Personally, I'm a religious person, so I have my own beliefs about what's important. But what's important to you? Just get those things right. Don't worry about the minor details. If you're worried about it, if it's a particular person that you're worried about, it can do you wonders to relax if you just talk to them. If you spend a moment with them and saying, hey, I'm having trouble relaxing because I'm a little bit stressed out about this. And I'm worried that you don't like me, or I'm worried that I'm not good enough for you, or I'm worried that, blah, blah, blah. You put your worries out and they will ease you, because what happens then is they're going to help you understand that those worries aren't reality. And I think that's the third thing for me, is that when I recognize I'm stressed about something, a lot of times I recognize I'm worried about something that isn't happening. A lot of times my stress comes from that which isn't happening. The only thing I can do is what I can do right now to aim for the best future. And beyond that, I have no control. So I try not to worry. And that helps me relax a lot. So those are some tips. I can give you a few more, but I don't want to take up too much time. I want to give it over to Joe because I'm sure he's got a lot to say. So take it away, Joe.
Oh, I've got so much to say.
Good.
I'm noticing a trend here in some of your comments, Amira. Like one of your most recent ones. My life revolves around only getting worse. I love my boyfriend, but I don't know if I can keep his interest. One thing that I have learned in relationships, and especially like guys, one of the most attractive things that a guy can find in a girl is when she is interested in him.
That's pretty plain and simple.
Mm-hmm. So one of the best things you can do to keep his interest is to continue being interested in him. And I love I love a lot of what Ryan says, and he's said other things on other topics, and even old videos that he's put together, and how, you know, when we get focused on ourselves, that's when a lot of these things kind of start to manifest themselves in our lives. You know, when we get so focused on us, you know, we start to pick out all of our faults, and we start to think, okay, well, I'm not that smart, or, you know, I'm not that attractive, or, you know, I'm out of shape and stuff like that. And I love what Ryan started with, where he was like, either change what you hate or change what you hate. It's like, you know, it's not about, you know, getting what you want. It's about wanting what you got, right?
Mm.
And so, and that gets to be an interesting thing. So now, yes, we have, you know, we have ourselves that we've been given to traverse this life with, right? We have our bodies, we have our minds, we have all of these things. These things are all tools for us to use. There's a really, really good book. It's very interesting because it's a little bit wordy and technical, but it's very, very good. It's called Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz. And the interesting thing is, this guy was a plastic surgeon, right? And he wrote a book about how we should think, about how our brains work, and he's a plastic surgeon, because he noticed that when he would do some kind of a surgery for someone to enhance something, that their look, or to fix some, you know, something they thought was a defect on them, he said there were a lot of cases, and it was disturbing how many cases there were where this person's self-image did not improve with the surgery. And so he said, so the problem wasn't necessarily the physical appearance, because they fixed that in the surgery. But the issue was how this person was thinking, right? That's the hang up. The hang up is mental. And I'm wondering if, you know, a lot of times, Princess has it hotkeyed. Nice. I've mentioned this book so many times. Princess has it hotkeyed.
That's awesome.
That's great. It is a tremendous book, and I'll tell you, it really gets to the heart of our dissatisfaction with ourselves, and how we can start to think differently, how we can train our minds to think about ourselves differently, because our minds, we are not our minds. That's not who we are. Our minds are a tool that we have to use, and we can develop it and use it a certain way to either make our lives better or worse. We can. And really, we do get to choose to some degree. Now, some things, a lot of times, things hit us, and they're hard, and they bring us down in the dumps and everything, and it can be really, really difficult. But how we think about those things is so much more important than the actual thing that happens. Right? And in his case, for Dr. Maxwell Maltz, he's like, you know, how a person thinks about the appearance of their nose is much more important than the actual appearance of their nose. That's the truth. Because and it really does come down to our thinking. So, how do you relax? when you're stressed out, especially when you're stressed out because of maybe there's some dissatisfaction with different features of your body. Maybe there's, a fear involved. I mean, I look at this trifecta of things going on where you have this boyfriend and you have a fear that you might lose him, right? Or that you might mess things up. I love the way you worded that, because I'm afraid I might mess things up. I guarantee you're going to mess things up. I guarantee it. Once in a while, it's going to happen. You're going to mess up. That's okay. Like I program my kids. I mess things up all the time, like that's okay. That's what I'm good at. That's one of my strengths. Right? So that's one thing. Okay, you're afraid you might mess it up. I guarantee you will. The day I got married, my wife's dad, my father-in-law, he came up to me and he kind of gave me this warning to not hurt his daughter. And I was like, I sat there and I thought for a moment, I'm like, I'm totally going to hurt her. Like, I'm not going to mean to, but I know I'm going to. I mean, when you put two people together and all of us have our own, deficiencies, and we have our own thought processes and everything, we're going to have friction and we're going to hurt each other. She's going to hurt me too. And she has, and I've hurt her. It's part of relationships. But the beauty in that, when we make a mistake, there's repentance, there's redemption, there's forgiveness, and through that process, we create a stronger bond than there ever was before. So that can be pretty cool. So thank heaven for the mistakes and the pain that we've caused each other, because it's really helped us to grow stronger, right? Another thing, you don't have a job and you're stuck living with your parents. I've been there before too. I've been stuck living with my parents and have a job. I've been stuck living with my parents and had 3 jobs. It's been, it's okay. All right. So then the question is, okay, why? I mean, do you feel unproductive because you don't have a job? That might be one thing. So then, you can search for a job. I had a friend, he's actually on staff at Black Static and Swerve. He was unemployed for a long time, years ago. When I first met him, he was unemployed, and he had his full-time job was looking for a job. And he was unemployed for a long time. But he spent 40 hours per week looking for work, if not more, and doing all kinds of different things to try and find work. It was amazing to watch him go through this, because it can be so hard to try to find a job. I understand. But it doesn't change your value. The value of who you are. Where you live, who you live with, what you're doing. It doesn't change the infinite dignity and value that you are just by existing. So that was another thing. And then the third part of that trifecta was, you're not happy with the way you look. And I think a lot of people struggle with that. One of the problems is we have all these beautiful, attractive people in movies and TV, paraded in front of us all the time, and we compare ourselves to them, and it can be a real struggle. And, we're built a certain way. We can optimize our frame with, like what Ryan was saying, through exercise and nutrition. We can take what we have and optimize it. We can make it look the best that it possibly can. And in everybody's case, that can be attractive. It absolutely can. And really, I've learned more. I used to work out to try and change my looks. But now, I exercise to change how I feel, my endurance, how long I can sing for, how, there's all kinds of different things, how well I can keep up with my kids. There's so many reasons to exercise and to have good nutrition beyond just how we look. And it really gets into how we feel. So, how do you relax when you're stressed out? It depends on why you're stressed out. If it's because of this trifecta of stuff going on right here, I would say a magic bullet in this situation would be some kind of exercise. Ryan said do a somersault. I love that because it's physical and it's going to mess with you a little bit.
Yep.
And it's going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to like throw your brain off a little bit. That's okay. That's absolutely okay. But if you do something physical, what you're going to find is you've got a lot of pent up energy and you can burn that off, through some exercise, and you'll feel better about yourself because you will know that you are on the path to optimizing your frame. It'll also fix, the discouragement that comes from, not having a job and, not and being stuck at your parents. It'll help with that because it gives you a little bit of confidence. It's like, hey, you know what? I may be failing in some areas, but at least in this one, I'm starting to move forward in. And so then you start moving forward on that track, and then, you can start moving forward on other tracks as well. And then also it gives you that confidence that you can say, okay, this person says they love me, then my job is to love them. And I can almost guarantee if you love your boyfriend and you act lovingly toward your boyfriend, then that'll go a long way to keeping that relationship solid. Now, love is desiring the best for another person. Ryan has defined that many times on this show, and that's literally true. To desire the best for a person. And when you do that, it comes through in who you are. It comes through in everything you say to them and everything you do with them. It comes through. But that's something you cultivate deep down in your heart, a desire for the best for your boyfriend. And I think if you can do that, then you'll be able to relax and feel more secure in this particular situation. But I would say it all kind of starts with doing some physical activity, and start with a somersault or making some snow angels or something. It'll be fun. Have some fun with it. So anyway, that's what I have. Ryan, did you have anything else?
Yeah, just a little bit. Because we're at the 2 hour and 5 minute mark or whatever, so we'll have to shut it down pretty soon here. But I just want to say a few things, Amira. Joe was mentioning this in passing, but if you are stressed out, not always, but a lot of times it's because we're focused on ourselves and we recognize we might not be able to get the job done. And that's true, but that's the way it's supposed to be, because you aren't in this world alone. It's not just you. If you're stressed out, it's usually because, you're looking at yourself and you can't solve it, but it's not supposed to be solved just by you. Enlist the aid of those whom you love. And hopefully that will reduce some of your stress. It's normal to feel like you're not enough because most of the time you aren't supposed to be enough. It's supposed, relationships, they're a two-person deal. So you by yourself, to be stressed out about, like, I think I'm going to mess up and I'm going to lose a relationship. That's true. You would if you were in it by yourself, because that wouldn't be a relationship. That would just be you, So try not to worry about it so much, because it's only natural that there's two parts to this scenario, and you can count on them. You know, you have to, because that's the only way to keep your relationship steady, is to have both people, involved with it. Because you're not enough alone for something like that. So be happy to communicate with them, and be happy that it isn't just you that can fix it or cause problems to it. It's a two-part deal. Other thing I wanted to say is this. You said, in my experience, whenever I express my feelings, it only makes things worse. I'm going to give one tip of advice to you, and that's it. And I hope you take this to heart. And I'm going to try to keep it short. When you're expressing your feelings, let him shine. Okay? Because if you're expressing your problems to him, he's going to want to try to help. Let him shine. Let what he says impact you. Let his words console you. Allow yourself to be swayed by him. And even though he might not have the right answer for you, lift him up and allow him to shine. Because that will do wonders for your relationship, but it will also do wonders for you. It's hard. So many times I've experienced this. It's hard to let other people's words impact us. It's hard for me, when someone says something and it's like, yeah, you're right, but I don't care if you're right. I'm going to do it on my own. I'm going to find my own way to that same conclusion, or sometimes they're wrong. And I'm just like, yeah, okay, thanks for the advice, idiot. Right. But here's the thing. This is the best thing I can offer you, is to let him shine, because that's going to increase your relationship. It's going to make him feel better. It's going to make you feel better. It's going to get your mind off of yourself and allow other people to help you in this scenario where you don't feel like you're good enough, where you're capable enough. And the truth is, it's not a one-man show, so of course you're not. It's a two-part deal. So just allow him to shine whenever you're putting your feelings out there. If it's an I love you, if that's the thing you're trying to express, I love you, let him shine. Whatever it is, whenever you're trying to express those feelings or despairs, let him shine. And that's what I got. I hope that makes sense.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ryan, so much. And thank you, Amira, for the topic. Hopefully some of what we said made sense to you and can help in some way. We just, we love you. And we want you to, be helped through this situation. So, and that goes for all of you guys. Thank you so much for being here on this episode of Don't Worry Wednesday. We will be back next week with another episode
of Don't Worry Wednesday.
The day before Thanksgiving episode of Don't Worry Wednesday. Those of you who are Americans, yes, it's the Thanksgiving. It's my favorite holiday. I'm excited for it. Basically, yeah. And it's just relaxing, because you're not there. You don't have to do a whole bunch of stuff. You just get together and eat.
Well,
there's a lot less getting together this year, though.
Are you the chef?
In some cases, yes. I help with the cooking.
Yeah, I think it's nice to be that part of the deal. There's something kind of relaxing and joyful about cooking with others. And it's just nice. Unless it's on a show like Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares, or you have to deal with Gordon Ramsay at all, or there happens to be someone who likes Gordon Ramsay in the kitchen and they like to act like him, then it's not a relaxing thing. But get Gordon Ramsay out of the kitchen.
Yeah.
It becomes fun.
It can be very fun. It's interesting because my wife's a tremendous baker. She is such a great baker of desserts and all that kind of wonderful stuff, right?
Yeah.
And anytime I help, it gets wrecked. It's weird. So I'm the baker wrecker person, right? So
Bake wrecker.
The way that I help in that regard is I just wash dishes. I wash dishes like a banshee.
So you scream the dishes clean?
I do, man. I yell at them.
Nice. Because banshees just scream, from what I
Yes.
understand.
Yeah, you're right. So I guess I don't wash them like a banshee. I wash them like a dishwasher.
Ah! All right.
That's it. So anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. We'll see you next week. Those of you who didn't get to your topics, we will do our best to do them next time. So until
Yeah,
then, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful week.
that's right.
And we'll see you back next week right here.
All right. See you guys. Bye bye.
Take care, everybody.